Hello, everybody, and welcome to today's final Friday live for 2023. It's Friday, December the 22nd, and this is the final live I'm doing for the year. Final live before Christmas or the holiday season, if you don't celebrate Christmas. So I'm looking forward to spending some time with you before we go, or I go, and my team goes on a nice, well-earned break. It's summer here in Australia, so this is the time of year when we tend to take time off after Christmas. It's very common for everyone to go on a couple of weeks of leave in January. So I won't be back. I'll do a post, but my next live probably won't be till around the 12th, something like that, of January. So in the meantime, if you have a question that you would like me to answer, or if there is something that you're grappling with and you would like me to have that, to answer that for you the next time I go live, feel free to send your question through to hello@fionalukeis.com.au, and I will answer them for you. All right, so I'm just going to give everything a bit of time to flow through for the live stream to flow through, so everyone knows that I'm here. It's a tricky time of year. I know a lot of people have already broken for Christmas, or broken up for Christmas, as in finished work, finished whatever they're doing for Christmas. And I know a lot of people are out there Christmas shopping today, or getting ready to have relatives and friends over. So we'll see how many people show up for today's live. But I did want to do this today because I did make a promise that I would be here on this final Friday before Christmas, and the final Friday live of 2023. So as always, if you are listening, feel free to let me know where you are listening from. Hey, Graham. Hey, nice to hear from you, Graham. I hope you're well too. Presuming you got the day off today. A lot of people have already finished for the year and are out relaxing and having a great time. I am working today. I'll finish tomorrow afternoon. Just so I can help a few more people before Christmas time comes, because I know it can be a really tricky time for people. So I'll be working all day tomorrow, and then I'll finish tomorrow afternoon. I am hosting Christmas at my home this year, so I'm really looking forward to that. Oh, you've had this week and 2 more weeks off. Okay, beautiful. That's great. Good for you, Graham. Nice. A nice 3-week break. It's always lovely to have that at this time of year. I know it's nice and hot up there where you live. Now, anyone else who's just joined us, feel free to say hi. Let me know where you're listening from. And if you have a question that you would like me to answer, let me know. Hey, Shani, at the gym listening whilst on the exercise bike. I love it. Good for you, honey. Good for you. Hopefully my words will inspire you to pedal faster on that thing. So thank you for saying hi. And anyone else out there, feel free to say hi and let me know. And obviously, if you've got a question, feel free to post it in the comments below. So it's been I've got to say, this December has been one of the busiest Decembers I've ever had. And who knows why that is. These things can be so random at times. But, I guess one of the reasons I mention that is that I think there's been a theme in terms of where people are at, what people are struggling with. There's certainly been some themes or common threads that I've heard. So I wanted to address a couple of those today because, as you've probably heard me say in the past, where there's a common thread generally tells me that this is something that would be helpful to a larger group of people. But if there is something you'd like me to address, post it in the comments below, and I can see a couple more people tuning in, so feel free to say hi. I do have some questions here I want to get through as well, so let's see where we go with that. But I guess one thing that I want to address before I go to the questions is, a lot of people are saying to me, especially around holiday season, Christmas, how do I spend time with people that I feel uncomfortable with? How do I spend time with people that I find triggering? Maybe I'm spending time with a sister-in-law who's, got really strong political views, or maybe I'm spending time with a mother-in-law who, or father-in-law who, don't talk to me as much as they talk to other people. Like there's all sorts of scenarios that people present themselves with and have questions around. But the common thread is, how do I show up and spend time with people that I don't normally spend time with, and I find triggering. Okay. And how do I stay calm? Because, I want to have a nice Christmas or a nice holiday season. I know not everybody celebrates Christmas, so I want to acknowledge that. But I know at this time of year, people are doing a lot of catching up with one another. So how do I spend time with someone who I find triggering? Or maybe your relationship is in a really low place and you're like, how do we get through Christmas, Fiona? I've had many people asking me that question. Okay. And I guess what I wanted to say to those of you who are struggling with that is you have a lot more power over your reactions than you understand. Okay. You truly do. People don't understand this. They think that their reactions are very much based on what's going on out here, the way someone else behaves, the way someone else shows up, what someone says, what someone doesn't say, what someone does, what someone doesn't do. And it looks like you're at the mercy of that. That's a reality that many, many people live in. And, the problem when it looks that way is we have very little choice. We have very little options because it looks like that thing needs to change in order for me to be okay. And that's just not how things work. All right. So I know it looks that way. I know a lot of you might be listening with a lot of yeah buts, but that's just not how it works. So I just want you to know, number one, you have a lot more power and control over your reactions than you realize you do. Number two, it's really important to recognize that when we don't feel good, we often have a lot of insecure thinking, our minds race, and we just don't have the clarity that we need. Now, that applies to you, that applies to everybody. So you'll notice that if you're not feeling comfortable, someone else isn't feeling comfortable either. And so they're going to have low-level thinking. And when we've got low-level thinking, when we're in a low level of emotional intelligence, when we are very self-conscious, okay, we often say things we don't mean because we're often listening to life, looking at life through the lens of a distortion, except we don't realize that. And so it's really important when you're catching up for whether it be Christmas lunch or some sort of get-together, that you don't take your thinking so seriously. Okay, this is very important. People who are married to their thinking suffer more than people who are not. Okay, and I really need you to know thinking and thoughts are one of those things that's very misunderstood and something that's a really unreliable source of information. Okay, so you just need to know when you're not feeling great, when you're nervous, when you're concerned, that's when you really need to be a lot more suspicious of your own thinking. Don't take yourself so seriously. Don't take anything so seriously. This is just an important rule of thumb. When you go there and someone comes at you with extreme political views, or they want to talk to you about, I don't know, world events, or they've got an opinion about who knows, anything and everything that's in direct opposition to you, or you feel really like, right, or maybe they're taking pot shots at you. Okay, like, oh, wow, put on a few kilos, or, oh, have you done something with your hair? It just looks a bit strange. You don't quite look like, right? There's lots of different ways in which people do these things. Just remember, if someone is showing up that way, that person is not comfortable in their own skin, because people who are comfortable in their own skin just don't do that. They are in a low level of thinking, and just recognize that you don't need to meet someone where they're at. All right, you don't. That is an optional extra. It looks like a requirement. 100%, I get that. But I really need you to know that's an optional extra. You can meet them there if you want. You can engage in all of that and be in the feeling of it and have that experience. That's up to you, because you are far more the creator of your experience than you understand. All right. So those are the things that I just want to kind of you to have in the back of your mind. All right. Can't take my thinking quite as seriously when I'm not feeling so great. My mind's racing, which means I'm probably looking through a distortion. That person's clearly uncomfortable if they're taking pot shots at me. That's someone who's not comfortable in their own skin. And that's someone who's also hasn't got great thinking. I don't have to meet someone there. You don't. I mean, you can, all right? You can, but you don't have to. These are the options and choices that we have at our fingertips, okay? So I really want you to know that. And the other thing that you need to understand is whatever your reality may be of a person or a situation or of yourself, this is a reality that you are not locked into. Okay. I've been talking about this a lot with my relatable students, a lot with my clients over the last few weeks, that we need to appreciate that there are unlimited realities out there, and that the reality that you're currently living in is not the only one or the best one or the most truthful one. Okay. This is something that we all need to understand. Can't trust your reality either. And people go in and out of realities. Now, the other thing you need to understand is someone is not their reality. You are not your reality. It's amazing to me whenever I'm working with a client, or, I'm listening to some of the beautiful insights that have been shared with my relatable students this week. The last couple of calls we've had have been very emotional, because people are kind of sharing what's changed for them this year, how differently their relationships are how more deeply connected they are, breakthroughs they've had in relationships where someone's been shut down, and because they've shown up differently, that has created a change in the other person, and how they've had moments of, I didn't know that I could do this, but I've been consistently showing up this way, and it's actually really starting to see an impact on themselves and the people around them. And so we've had some very emotional conversations, deeply moving. I've been very deeply moved by the wisdom and insight that people have shared. And so we've been talking about the fact that, when we go into a reality, we innocently become it. But when we move into another one, we become that. So, human beings are chameleons. We really are. And we can change with a lot more ease and speed than we appreciate, because all someone needs to do is see a completely different reality. And remember, there are unlimited ones around anything. And all of a sudden, the way that you listen, the feeling you're in, the thinking that you have access to, and the way you behave changes just like that. And I think that's just an important thing to understand. So there is a lot more flexibility that you have around something than you can ever possibly imagine. And people who see this for themselves, and you see it for yourselves by having a real time experience of that, are blown away. Like, they can't believe how differently they move through life, and how much more ease they have around something that they used to get very, very, very triggered by and stuck on. All right. So I just want you to know that there is more on offer for you than you realize. You do not have to meet someone where they're at. And then the reality you're in right now is not all there is. There are unlimited realities out there. And now I love knowing that. And I love knowing that I'm not locked into a reality, and I can move into another one pretty easily these days, which is awesome, because what does that mean? It means I get to create my experience. Someone else is not doing it for me. I'm doing it. I'm the creator of my experience. And that is an amazing feeling, right? Truly amazing. And something I just keep reinforcing to myself, and I keep playing with, right? We need to learn to be a lot more playful with our reality. We need to learn to be a lot more playful with our experience, full stop. And I think as adults, we're often told to grow up, be mature, and we lose that aspect of ourselves. But you've got to bring that back into your life, guys. It's just so wonderful. It is. When you're lighthearted and playful, other people are as well, right? It just gets reflected, and ripples happen as you move through life together. Hi, Marion Tolan. Hi from Scotland. Hello. Well, okay, if you're messaging me from Scotland, it's got to be like the middle of the night for you, Marion. So I'm very impressed that you're even here. It's got to be like it's nearly 1 o'clock in the afternoon here, and you guys are what, 10 hours, 9-10 hours behind. So yeah, it's literally the middle of the night for you. So hello, Marion. Welcome. Thanks for saying hi. And anybody else who wants to say hi, please feel free to do so in the comments below. I'd love to hear from you. Okay, so I'm going to come to a couple of my questions here. They're pretty long, so I was just trying to find a way to break these down a little bit, so that so I'm not reading such a large question out to you. So let's see how we go. Hi, Fiona. Really enjoyed your ebook and the insights within it. The reason I'm in the current situation of going through a separation is rather confusing. My partner and I have been together for nearly 5 years. We're a blended family of 4 daughters, 2 each, and my partner decided quite abruptly that she wanted to end our relationship. We have been going to relationship counselling to work on a few things for about 2 months, and by all accounts, my partner was finding it really good, and we were seeing some good improvements. As you can probably understand, it's extremely confusing. Both of our families are incredibly surprised as well as gutted with these turn of events, as we seemed incredibly close and had a great connection. She has recently been diagnosed with ADHD, autism, and high anxiety. The anxiety we knew about, and 4 months ago lost one of her closest friends to cancer. To top that all off, this time of year, her youngest daughter was diagnosed with autism, and so we have been working through that together as well. Rather than her moving out and tearing our family apart, I've suggested she stay in the house while she works on her mental health, and I can support her through it. Deep down, I guess I'm hoping that once she gets her mental health sorted, she'll realize that she's making a mistake. However, she is adamant that that's not going to happen. I guess in my mind, I'm thinking that everything has become too much for her and she's trying to control the one thing she can control, which is our relationship, and call it quits. Am I clutching at straws? Okay. Great question. And look, I'm so sorry that you're going through this. I really, truly mean that. It sounds really difficult and really difficult and really exhausting. Okay. Trying to work out why someone does something has our minds race, and we tend to overthink everything, and that's real mental load, as you guys have all heard me say many times, is really, really exhausting. Okay, so let me just see here. I think you've got a lot of wisdom here in what you've said, that you're realizing that there's a lot going on for her. That's right. And she's probably feeling extremely overwhelmed and doesn't know where to begin, and probably feels like, and this is what happens when people have high overwhelm, they really feel like they can't deal with another thing, right? So when our heads are full, when we've got no emotional bandwidth, we get to a point where we cannot deal with one more thing. This is very, very common. Okay. And that's what happens with a lot of anxiety and overwhelm. We just get to critical mass and it's like, I need to shut the world out. I've got nothing left to give, nothing left to offer. There is nothing for me. I have nothing to give you. And so it becomes easier just to say, leave me alone, go away. I can't deal with another thing. So to me, that's what it sounds like where your partner's at, and which you've also picked up on. And so all I can say to you is, if you are going to have her be in the house, and I think it's wonderful that you want to give her support, you have to become fantastic at giving her space. Fantastic at giving her space, right? Now, in order to be able to give her space, you have to be very present. Very present. Now, you've got to be very present to where she's at as opposed to where you're at. This is a very This is a very tricky, is the word I'm trying to say, thing for people to navigate. All right. You've got to be present to where she is at, or what's showing up in a moment of now, rather than where you are at. All right. So I hope you know the difference between those two things. So you've got to be present, because when you are present, you'll recognize when she needs space and when she might need some support. Now, here's where we can misunderstand and misread things. So you think you're giving someone space, but you're going in saying, are you okay? Can I get you anything? Do you need anything? Do you want to talk? Now, if you're going and doing that, often you're not giving her space, right? A lot of people mistake that offering of support, giving someone space, etc., for love and care. But for someone who's at critical mass, that can really just be too much. Like if you are going to give her the support, you've got to be able to step right back, hold space, be there, but not crowd her in any way. All right. Now, crowding her can be asking too many times if she wants to talk, offering to do something for her, jumping in a lot. It's like it's just got to be there. You've got to be able to read the room really, really well. Okay. And not be offended or take it personally if she says, no, just leave me alone, I'm fine. Right. And there's a fine line between those two things. So you have to be really great at that. Otherwise, it's all just going to get, the slightest thing is just going to be too much for her, because there's just that this beautiful lady has got no bandwidth for life for anything right now. All right. And so, she's shut down and she's just like, I can't deal. Now, whether that means that is the permanent end of your marriage, or whether as she gets bandwidth back, she's able to look at things with fresh eyes and have a fresh perspective, I don't know. I have certainly seen people where a relationship has broken down and they've learned, like I've worked with them and I've helped them navigate how to hold space and do that well, and they've consistently done that, where the other person has then been able to access emotional bandwidth, and then from there be able to try on the relationship, seeing one another and seeing things with fresh eyes. Okay, so I've certainly seen that, and in very recent times, actually, this has happened yesterday with a client of mine. The relationship had completely broken down, and they live in different states, and there's been a huge shift because she has just shown up differently again and again and again and held space, and it's enabled the other person to step into something. Okay, this is very important. When you hold space, you enable someone to step into something. You give them room to step into something. When you're push, there's no room. And so there's no room emotionally, there's no room mentally, there's no room spiritually. And so then nothing changes. So if you're going to do that, make sure you're really patient, and really good at holding space, because this is where our thinking can get really tricky, because you're going to have moments where you're going to say to yourself, this has been going on too long. I've been patient. I've done enough. I've had it. I've been doing this for a long time. I can't do this anymore. And you're going to get caught in cycles like that. Okay. So I think you're on the right track. I think there's a lot of wisdom in what you're saying, where you're saying deep down, I guess, that, you know, or you're in your mind, you think that everything's become too much, and she's trying to control the one thing she can control. Now, whether she's trying to control the one thing she can control, I don't know, maybe, but I just really think that you're absolutely right. There's just too much, and she needs time and space. So if you can offer her that, you're not clutching at straws at all. I think being able to give her a safe space where she has room to move through things, and she doesn't feel like she has to navigate your emotions or anybody else's, would be incredibly helpful. And then from there, as she gets more emotional bandwidth, and she will, because that's a very natural thing for us, then we can see what's on offer and what's available here. And then it may well surprise both of you. All right, but I can't guarantee anything, but that is going to be your greatest way to see what is possible here. Okay, so I hope that helps. 2 a.m. Marion. Oh my goodness. Okay. Well, thank you for tuning in at 2 a.m. Hi, Ian. Hello. Thank you for saying hi. Nice to hear from you. Karen. Hi, Karen Anderson. Hi, Fiona. How do I deal with going to events where I have extreme social anxiety at times? I'm not sure if I should avoid it altogether or go and hope that my anxious thinking doesn't take over. I have read your book and it has helped, and I know you said to wait for fresh thinking, stay in the moment, and have bandwidth with the people I'm interacting with. It's all in how I perceive it, and shouldn't try to change it, but not sure how to deal with it. Well, look, it's a great question, Karen. And first of all, I'm sorry that you have, extreme social anxiety. It's very, very, very common, and for a lot of people, going to social events, doing things is tricky. Okay, and I think also, and I've heard this with a lot of people with COVID, and especially in Melbourne, we were in lockdown for so long that people aren't used to, and they're still getting their head around it, socializing and being around other people. So I can completely appreciate and understand what you're saying here. I guess the key, Karen, is it's your relationship with your thinking. Okay, that is key here. I often say to people, our relationship with our thinking is the most important relationship we have, because it determines everything. It really does. Our relationship with our thinking determines everything, and it's the one thing that we overlook. It's the one thing that we don't understand, and it's the one thing that we don't appreciate the impact that it has on our lives. Now, I'm not saying you need to change your thinking, because that doesn't work. That's futile. But knowing how to navigate it is very, very important. This is everything I teach in my online program, Relatable. Truly, I teach you this step by step, how thought works, how to navigate it, how to navigate your emotions, so that you don't feel like you're at the mercy of your thinking and your feelings, which it sounds like you feel like you are a bit. And a lot of people are, right? So a couple of rules of thumb. If your mind is racing and you've got and you're feeling nervous and scared, that is a sign to you that your thinking's not all that trustworthy right now. Okay, But often because that evokes very strong emotions in us, we tend to trust it the most. And that's a tricky thing for people to get their head around. This is the time when you should be trusting your thinking the least. All right. We tend to trust it the most, the more upset we are, but actually the opposite is true. All right. The more upset you are, the least, the more suspicious of you thinking you want to be. Right. And when I say suspicious, it's just more about not analyze it, understand, trying to work out why and all that sort of stuff, because that just creates more mental load. But just recognizing, okay, yeah, I'm not, my mind's not in the best place at the moment to really trust anything right now. And this isn't a sign that there's something wrong with you either. Okay. This is actually very common for all human beings. And people don't learn how to navigate this stuff, and so get stuck in realities, right? I started this live talking about realities. We get stuck in a reality because we haven't learned how to navigate our thinking. And then it looks like that reality is all there is. All right. And so it's just this wonderfully freeing thing when you realize that there's a whole different reality around anything waiting for you. But it all has a lot to do with how engaged you are with your thinking, how much attention you place on it, especially what I would call insecure, upset thinking. All right. That's the thinking we got to learn to trust the least. Okay. That's the thinking that I call is the best dressed costume at the costume party. All right. That's the stuff that we've got to learn to change our relationship with. Yet, right, it's often the stuff that we are the most engaged with. So there's a flip to be made there, right? Now, when people learn how to do that, it is very, very, very freeing, because all of a sudden, those things no longer have the power that they used to have. So it doesn't become about what I'm thinking about, why I'm thinking about it, etc. Right? It just becomes about, you get to a point where you're just not so interested in your concern. Okay. And the other thing to remember, Karen, is there is always fresh thinking coming. Okay. And so that's what you want to look for. It's just that fresh thinking can be really ordinary. So you don't want to be looking, it's not necessarily, how do I have fresh thinking about this thing? It's just more about noticing that, you might get a really ordinary thought, which could be you're out at a party and you feel like getting a drink. All right. Now, whilst you're thinking about the drink, you're in a totally different experience. So fresh thinking can be very ordinary, but it's often the stuff that we don't see. We don't see that between us and every experience is our thinking. We don't see that because it just looks like this is how things are. Now, the minute you start seeing that, that's when the world of choice opens up and you get a whole different way of experiencing and navigating something. And that applies to everything. Hence why having this in your life is so brilliant for our relationships, because we get very locked into a reality around a person or a situation, and then we just cycle around it. And this is why relationships end up being in what I call, Groundhog Day. Anyway, I hope that helps, Karen. Hey, Christy. Hi, Christy. Welcome from Northern California. Welcome. Nice to see you, Christy. Marion, you're welcome. Thank you. I appreciate that comment. Thank you. I appreciate that very much. Okay, so I feel, like I said, I'm not going to be, I'm taking a break because it's summer here. So I won't be live again with you guys until, I'll put a post up. I'm guessing it will be probably the first Friday. I'm sorry to sound so vague, but I'm back in the office on January 8th, but I'm in creation mode that week. So I potentially will be doing, so I'm not seeing clients that week because I've got a couple of programs I've got to finish off creating and I've got business planning to do. But I'll either be doing my next live on Friday, the 12th of January, or it'll be the 19th. Okay, so, but I'll give you plenty of notice. But if you have a question, send it to me before then and I'll do my best to answer it. Hey, Peter, thank you. Hey, Peter, wishing you and your family a safe and restful holiday season, Fiona. Your program has brought so much to my life. Thank you. Being able to sit with my ex-wife as she took her last breath and have nothing but love was so very powerful and incredible experience. Oh, Peter, I know. I saw you share that in the Relatable Members group. It was just extraordinary, Peter, truly extraordinary. I've seen change in you, Peter, has been so beautiful, and what you've shared with all of us and contributed to the community has been amazing. Thank you, Peter. Truly, thank you so much. And I can only imagine how extraordinary that experience was for you and for your wife and your children. Amazing. It's amazing how generous of heart, spirit, and soul we are when we connect with our true nature and we put down all that contaminated thinking that gets in the way. It's the most freeing thing. And I wish it for all of you. I wish you freedom of thought as you navigate through the holiday holiday season. And I wish you all a wonderful, wonderful, whatever that is for you, Christmas holiday season. Hey, Daryl. Hello. Merry Christmas. Thank you, Marion. Thank you, everybody. I can't spend as much time today. Today is just so busy, but I just wanted to jump in here. Thank you all for your support. Thank you for showing up for my lives. Thank you for your questions. Thank you for everything that you bring. And I hope that the things that you learn, you implement into your life and you ripple out to the people around you. Okay, you'd be amazed at what a difference one person can make. And you are that person because you are here listening to this. And if you're listening to this, it's not an accident. It's because you've been called to, whether you realize it or not. Okay, so wishing you all lots and lots of love. Take care, everybody. Go and love the heck out of yourself and the people around you. You would be amazed at what shows up when you do. It is who you are anyway. It is our true nature. Lots of love to you all, everybody. See you next year. Happy New Year and a Merry Christmas. Take care now. Ciao. Thank you, Christy. Thanks, Graham.